Karoline Leavitt just shattered every expectation. Again, people assumed her first lawsuit against The View was the end of the road, a media quake so intense that the aftershocks alone would keep her name in the headlines for months. But what no one realized was that she had another plan up her sleeve, one that's even more devastating. And now, her second lawsuit threatens to unravel the very fabric of daytime television's most controversial show. How did we get here? Why is Karoline doubling down on her fight? And could this be the legal battle that ends The View for good? It's a saga bigger than anyone imagined. If you thought her initial lawsuit was explosive, hold on, because this is the moment that might finally bring down an empire. Karoline's first lawsuit blindsided The View and ABC. Back then, viewers watched in awe as she exposed an underbelly of alleged bias and behind-the-scenes chaos, claiming that producers orchestrated narratives to discredit her as soon as she stepped on their stage. That single court filing lit up social media and forced the show into defense mode. The hosts scrambled to save face, while network executives quietly got their crisis teams involved. For a while, the chatter was deafening, but then it died down, leaving a sense that maybe, just maybe, The View had gotten away with minimal damage. People assumed Karoline had fired her only shot, that she wouldn't risk another legal war after tangling with one of America's biggest networks. But assumptions can be deadly in show business. Once you've rattled the cage and survived, you just might come back swinging harder than before. And that's exactly what happened here. Her new lawsuit didn't arrive in whispers. It dropped like a hammer. Karoline now alleges The View engaged in outright defamation, workplace harassment, and a targeted campaign to destroy her standing in the media industry. According to leaked documents, her team possesses emails and text messages that paint a damning picture. Not only did certain hosts allegedly spread false stories about her, but some producers might have coordinated with outside media executives to blacklist her from any future appearances. That means she wasn't just dealing with stinging commentary on daytime TV, she believes there was a full-on smear campaign launched behind her back. This second lawsuit goes beyond public statements. It demands a monumental payout. Karoline's legal team is reportedly seeking tens of millions of dollars in damages. If she wins, the financial repercussions could be enough to rattle the network's foundations, forcing them to reassess whether the show that once served as a flagship for daytime opinion is worth the growing headaches. And if that wasn't shocking enough, some insiders claim there's a treasure trove of evidence, emails, voice recordings, even text messages that hint at direct instructions from upper management to handle the Karoline problem. If any of that is real, and if it sees the light of a courtroom, this legal saga could redefine not just The View, but talk shows everywhere, sending a clear message. No network is above the law, and no talk show host is safe from accountability. The moment Karoline's second lawsuit went public, chaos swallowed The View's set. Whoopi Goldberg, the show's long-standing figurehead, reportedly received the news in a call from an ABC executive just minutes before showtime. She froze in stunned disbelief, then reportedly stormed off to her dressing room in a flurry of frustration. Joy Behar, the show's other dominant voice, reacted with dismissive jokes at first, downplaying the claims as a political stunt. But when details started circulating, like the possibility of tangible proof of defamation, her laughter turned quiet. Tensions between the hosts flared during the day's pre-show meeting. Sunny Hostin demanded to know why they weren't warned about the second lawsuit sooner. Alyssa Farah Griffin, who'd clashed before with her more liberal co-hosts, kept her head down, possibly recognizing that this was going to erupt into something much larger. Producers tried to regain order, but the meltdown was inevitable. In private, staffers whispered that they'd never seen the host so visibly shaken. Yet the biggest jolt came when ABC's higher-ups weighed in. Their frustration wasn't just aimed at Karoline, it turned inward toward the very personalities who'd landed them in this predicament. At what point is the show's controversy overshadowing its value? Some asked. Rumors flew that top executives were quietly considering every option, from forcing on-air apologies to, yes, even pulling the plug on the entire production if it meant safeguarding the network's reputation. While the set spun into turmoil, another storm raged in ABC's corporate halls. Executives had dreaded a second legal fiasco, but many believed they'd put out the first fire effectively enough to deter Karoline from coming back for more. Clearly, they miscalculated. This time, the allegations ran deeper, and the evidence seemed more solid. An emergency meeting convened among ABC's top brass dragged on late into the night. Phones rang constantly, emails flooded in with urgent red labels, and staff hovered over conference tables, scanning for any path to contain the damage. The initial plan? Issue a cautious statement minimizing the lawsuit, instruct the hosts to stay absolutely silent about Karoline on air, and quietly explore the prospect of a settlement. But within hours, that plan blew up. Karoline's representatives issued a swift, scathing response. No settlement. We'll see you in court. Panic levels soared. Corporate attorneys realized that a drawn-out court battle offered endless opportunities for damaging material to leak. If Karoline's evidence proved legitimate, it wouldn't just tarnish The View. It could expose the methods networks sometimes use to squash or discredit adversaries. For ABC, the risk extended beyond one talk show. Their entire credibility was on the line. News of the second lawsuit ignited social media like a brush fire. Within minutes, hashtags sprang up across Twitter and Instagram, unleashing a torrent of opinions. Perto Karoline vs. The View, ABC exposed, media accountability. These and more skyrocketed to the top of trending lists. Conservative commentators roared in solidarity with Karoline, slamming The View as an echo chamber that finally met its match. Memes popped up depicting the show's set in flames, or the hosts looking shell-shocked in courtroom settings. Every second, new clips and rumors surfaced, fueling the frenzy. Liberal-leaning outlets rushed to defend The View, framing Karoline as an opportunist searching for headlines. But that narrative ran into trouble the moment leaked evidence began to circulate. Email screenshots suggesting there might have been a real blacklisting effort against her. Phone call snippets pointing toward behind-the-scenes coordination to limit her media opportunities. Suddenly, even the show's loyalists had to take a step back and ask whether the claims had teeth. Then came the ad sponsors. Even a hint of possible wrongdoing can scare away corporate advertisers. And in this situation, they were spooked enough to start pulling out quietly, or at least reevaluating their commercials. When ad revenue is threatened, networks listen. Money and credibility were both hemorrhaging, and no PR spin could patch that wound easily. As the backlash intensified, Whoopi Goldberg and Behar found themselves in an unprecedented defensive posture. Typically, they were the ones steering hot topics, but now they were the hot topic. And it did not suit them. On a tense episode, Whoopi opened by addressing the elephant in the room, dismissing the lawsuit as another attempt to vilify strong voices. Joy chimed in, insinuating that Karoline thrived on chaos and sought to exploit The View for fame. That brief segment was all viewers needed to unleash a new wave of criticism online. Clips from Karoline's calm, fact-based interviews resurfaced, directly contradicting the portrayal of her as a sensationalist. The more Whoopi and Joy attacked her motives, the more they reinforced the narrative that they were unwilling to address legitimate grievances. ABC decided to yank that segment from reruns and online platforms, but not before it ricocheted through the internet, adding more fuel to the outrage. Internally, The View staff felt the strain. Some producers questioned whether the show was salvageable if Karoline's legal battle dragged out. Anonymous sources whispered that certain ABC executives were privately fed up with Whoopi and Joy's off-the-cuff remarks, which only served to inflame the crisis further. They're doubling down at the worst possible time, one staffer reportedly complained. With each passing day, the lawsuit's reach extended further. It was no longer just about Karoline Leavitt or a single talk show. It had become a broader indictment of how powerful media entities handle critics they don't like. The rumor mill buzzed with the possibility that other guests or former employees harboring their own resentments might step up to join the fray. Karoline, for her part, refused to back down. Instead, she took to press conferences and social media, positioning herself as a whistleblower of sorts, someone willing to expose the tactics used to silence dissenting views. She stated plainly, "This lawsuit is more than a personal fight. It's about accountability in the media, about forcing transparency where it's long been ignored." Her words landed with impact, reinforcing the sense that this battle was emblematic of a larger cultural shift. Meanwhile, daily ratings for The View began to slip. Even some longtime fans admitted they found the show's response unconvincing. If that downward trend continued, it wouldn't just be the lawsuit threatening The View, it would be the slow erosion of the audience's trust. And once that's gone, all the legal defenses in the world can't salvage a daytime slot. Behind the scenes, ABC bigwigs debated drastic measures. Some wanted to suspend Whoopi and Joy, at least temporarily, to show the network took Karoline's allegations seriously. Others thought the show had generated too much controversy for far too long. Maybe the time had come to pull the plug entirely. Since its inception, The View has thrived on controversy, but in an era of social media accountability, what was once edgy and provocative now risked turning toxic. If the brand was irreversibly damaged, a cancellation would be the cleanest way out. Yet the potential backlash from dismantling The View was massive. This was a program that launched countless viral moments and shaped daytime talk for decades. Canceling it could alienate the show's dedicated fan base and potentially open ABC up to criticism from all corners, political, cultural, and everything in between. It was a lose-lose scenario. Keep a scandal-prone program on the air and risk enormous fallout, or cancel it and face an entirely different wave of outrage. Every rumor of possible cancellation sparked new waves of speculation. Is it really over for The View? Could Karoline's lawsuit actually be the final straw? Online, fans argued in heated threads, while critics cheered at the prospect of the show's demise. As each day passed, the tension only grew, and in the middle of it all, Karoline pressed forward with her case, refusing any settlement negotiations. In a last-ditch effort to control the narrative, Whoopi and Joy tried once more to address the controversy on air, but the segment bombed spectacularly. Their dismissive attitude, peppered with sneering remarks about people who can't handle tough debates, only amplified the perception that they were either out of touch or willfully ignoring the gravity of the allegations. The public hammered them for sounding disingenuous, further drowning the show in negative publicity. Word spread that the final straw for ABC might be the wave of sponsors now demanding answers. Some threatened to withdraw advertising altogether unless the network took appropriate disciplinary action to ensure such controversies wouldn't spiral again. Even though The View once reveled in on-air friction to drive ratings, advertisers thrive on stability and positive brand association. This wasn't stable, and it definitely wasn't positive. Suddenly, the unthinkable seemed plausible. An official statement, either suspending certain hosts or announcing the show's hiatus, could drop at any time. Every day, fans tuned in, half expecting to see replacement hosts or a shocking announcement from producers. And each day, the tension only escalated. Meanwhile, Karoline issued a final statement that sent shockwaves through the media world. She made it clear that she wasn't interested in shutting down open debate. She wanted accountability for what she called the show's systematic attempts to discredit conservative voices. She ended her statement with a direct challenge. If The View and its hosts have nothing to hide, let the truth come out in court. That defiant stance rocketed around social media and news outlets, galvanizing supporters who saw her as a champion for media reform. Even some moderates who once viewed Karoline skeptically began to wonder if her fight revealed a broader pattern, a show that welcomed controversy for ratings, but allegedly couldn't handle real pushback. The entire fiasco became a litmus test for how daytime TV would address political divides and disagreements moving forward. All that was left was the moment of reckoning. Lawyers were preparing to argue their case, depositions were being scheduled, and more leaks were threatening to break wide open. In every corner of network television, producers watched closely, aware that how this case ended could redefine the rules of engagement for talk shows and political discussions in the future. By now, the script for The View read like a cautionary tale. A show that once prided itself on feisty dialogue and unfiltered opinions found itself cornered by legal challenges it never saw coming. The public was demanding real answers. The hosts were in visible distress, and ABC executives were left with no easy solutions, only increasingly dire choices. How will it all end? For a show that spent decades dominating daytime television, the final chapter could be near. Yet the irony is impossible to ignore. Karoline Leavitt, once dismissed as just another conservative figure with a grievance, now stands at the center of a storm that may redefine the line between controversial commentary and outright defamation. If the lawsuit proves half of what it claims, the ripple effects could rock media giants long accustomed to controlling the narrative without consequence. Whatever the outcome, one truth remains. The View is fighting for its life, and Karoline Leavitt won't settle for anything less than full accountability. Whether she emerges victorious in court or not, she's already cracked the show's glossy veneer, revealing the cracks underneath. And now, everyone from casual viewers to media moguls is left asking, is this the beginning of the end for daytime TV's biggest brand of controversy?